Everybody, welcome to the mic drop prep session. No, I'm sorry, Mike Lead Aspires session. No, it's been a long week,
Had
but thank you so much for being
no.
here. Uh, thank you for being here with us. And we have, what we're doing this year, or we're calling our Fireside Chat series, and we are just coming in and talking to individuals within the mic community that are repping mic. Which shirt is that, Briscoe?
You
Oh,
already
there you go.
know. You already know what's happening. What we talking about here? You already know. Like, no,
Yeah,
no.
I got on
Okay,
this year's conference T-shirt.
okay.
There we go.
Okay.
There you go. There you
I'm
go.
waiting
There
on
you go.
my sweatshirt. I got my hoodie ordered already. Okay, let's go. It's time. Let's go. I can't wait for this
Let's get
conference.
we
I'm ready to get
we
it
we
in.
we're a month away. Let's go. Let's
I
go.
know. I'm excited. I'm
But
excited.
yes. Excited to be with you guys again. And it came around real fast, but I'm so
Man.
excited. But today we have on the mic with us Mr. Anthony, hashtag or quote unquote Tony Briscoe. And he is here to talk to us about his journey and his new role. And it's going to be real relaxed. We're going to ask a few questions. And my first question that I like to ask the guests is, tell us your origin story. How did you get where you are? How did you start? What did you want to be when you grew up? When you was a little tyke?
Man, origin story. Chicago born and bred. People call it the Windy City, but they think that's because of the weather, and it's not. It's because of a former mayor, and politics and windbags. That's where it comes from. But I was
Okay.
born and bred in Chicago. Early on, I remember reading my eighth grade autobiography years later, and I wanted to be either a garbage man or a computer programmer. And
Okay.
I'm neither of those, but I have friends who are. And the reason I wanted to be, I had garbage man selected because those were in my environment the men that I saw working every week, every day. So I'm like, oh, well, if those guys are working, then that's got to be something great. And I know some guys who clock over $160,000 a year doing that sanitation work. So it's not a bad career field at all. But that didn't pan out. Computer programmer, that didn't pan out. Tried it, just was not sticking to coding. So most of my work just came from, I just always wanted to be able to take care of people, upbringing, different homes, here and there, sometimes with family, sometimes with friends. But I just always wanted to make sure people were good. And technology just happened to be that path that I was told to take. So I was working in a brokerage firm back in the 90s. I'm showing my age now. And I just got fed up. I got fed up with management and the IT guy. I worked at a brokerage firm, so I was the senior CSR rep. So I trained everybody who came in to do customer service for brokers. And I got tired of putting in help desk tickets for the IT people to change the toner. So I said, "Hey, can you just leave me some toner? And when it's out, I will email you to replenish it for me." He was like, "You mean take something off my plate?" Absolutely. So when he found out I resigned from the company, he was like, "Yo, come work for me." I was like, "I know nothing about computers." First of all, it took me 35 minutes to swap out my first DIMM memory chips because I was scared I was going to break something. So, but my man Alex Baeza, that was my first journey into IT. He just told me to trust him. Then he left me like 9 months later, but he gave me a foundation to start with, and I have not looked back since.
Okay, well that's good. Well, the garbage man thing is a thing, right? And we that's growing up the way, and I would say because I remember that as well. But I mean I will date myself, and I remember when the milkman used to come to the house. Do you remember the milkman?
We never
Ooh.
had a milkman.
Yeah, we had a milkman back way back then. Milkman used to come to the house and drop off milk, fresh milk and orange juice. Actually, that yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I digress. Yes, I mean I was little, but I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember at my grandma's house. I digress. So let's start about your journey. Talk about your journey, about your entry journey, and where have you been, and from a different roles. Okay, so of course, the audience that we are speaking to are those that are looking to get into cybersecurity,
Okay.
IT, risk management, and so we like to share, our ups and downs, our what we learned, our outtakes. So that's who you're speaking to when I'm asking you these questions about, you know, tell us from the first role that you had, and changing toner, and then moving into IT. What happened after that?
Yeah. So I worked at this company for 5 years. They got shut down by the feds. By that time, I had fully moved into a desktop support role. So I did the help desk and desktop support role. I was part of the team when we rolled out from Windows 3.11 to Windows NT 3.51, then over to NT 4.0. So it just became desktop, right? So desktop stayed my path, Mary, almost 16 years because I had no mentor when Alex left. It was just me fending for myself pretty much. But even with that, because of my customer service background, when the company got shut down, I had to call what we call our managed service provider. That's MSP language for you all aspiring to be aspiring future techs out there and cybersecurity specialists. MSP, I had to call them over to get me access to the voicemail for the FBI. First of all, the FBI don't play when they come in. Like when I say they're serious, like it was my first time actually seeing an agent pull a gun because one of the programmers would not get away from their computer. And I was like, hey, you really need to listen. He was like, oh, Tony, stop playing. That agent, she drew down quick. So I was just like, oh, FBI over here. So I called them over. They was like, man, what's going on? We still owed this company like $40,000, $50,000 in IT services. And I was like, man, they shutting us down. He was like, well, what are you gonna do for work? I'm like, I've only been in IT for like a year and a half. I don't know what I'm gonna do. He was like, give me your resume. I was like, okay. So I was making $27,000 a year as a salary. I went from making $27,000 to $42,000 in a blink. The consultant company hired me. And so now I'm getting exposure to different environments. Now, y'all, I don't know anything about security at the time. I know zero about IT security. At the time, it was probably called InfoSec anyway. So no idea. I go and work for this consulting company. Me and the former CEO were still pretty tight. And I was just going to different clients. So I worked for lawyers, finance, brokerage firms, little medical clinics, attorney. Like it was just I got so exposed to so much just doing desktop support, working with Novell file server. I knew how to build print servers. I knew how to build Novell servers, and it was just all just hands on. So I did that for a year and a half before things didn't really go great at that company. But what happened was they were starting to lay people off. And so, I don't even know what an IT cert is at this time, Mary. I didn't learn about IT certs till 2000. We're talking 1997, 1998. I was like, I don't know what an IT cert is, So they started to lay people off. And I was just like, I don't have a cert. I don't have a degree. I don't have a cert. I was not part of the layoff team. They started laying off engineers. So those who were Novell certified, those who were, I can't think of the Unix-based system that was out. I think it was Micron or something, but they started laying off these engineers. And so I was like, I guess I'm good. So the engineers who they were letting go, they started complaining. Like, first of all, Tony's like one of the last dudes in here. Why does he get to keep his job? When the clients found out, they were laying people off. They were like, can you keep Tony Briscoe? We like how he speaks to us. And that's when I learned right there, people are my connection. I don't have to know how to build a server. I have not do any of that stuff. I need to know how to talk to people and help engineers know how to talk to people. It showed me that when it comes down to the bottom line, people care about how they're treated more than what you do for them. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't have to learn some things, but it still meant on a support level, they'd rather have me there just to back up their IT people when they were not around to run the help desk and do desktop support or to set up computers and do imaging for them. They'd rather have me in that position than they would somebody who's highly certified, highly educated, highly trained, but doesn't know how to treat people like human beings.
I'm trying to get to my mute button. That is a good point right there, because when we start, and I just got an email today. We're in the middle of taking on our new apprentices, and I get an email today complaining that well, pointing out, not complaining, I won't say that, oh, well, I know you're training everyone as a cybersecurity analyst. I want to be a pen tester. Now, that's a trigger for me. And the trigger is because how are you going to be a pen tester if you don't know how to defend a network? How are you going to be able to, communicate effectively to others if you don't even know foundational principles of cybersecurity?
Period.
So, period. And we see that all the time. And I don't spend a lot of time on social media, but I am very much involved. And we have our 40 something odd apprentices, and then we're bringing on 50 more. So I touch base every now and then, and we touch base monthly, but to listen to them and talk about this field as if they could just decide that, hey, I'm just going to be this, I'm going to go, this is the path I want to pursue. But it takes experience, it takes longevity, it takes doing the work to actually gain the experience necessary, and then to be a subject matter expert, and then on top of that to communicate effectively with your customers, right? Whether that's internal or external. So, as me out there trying to save the world, save cyberspace, as I say. That's what I tell my daughter. I'm out here trying to save cyberspace. It's challenging. So when we're thinking about individuals that want to, break into the space, they're having a difficult time. They're focused on certs. That's another trigger word for me. They're focused on certs. They're focused on all these other things, but about their technical acumen. They want to do this. They want to be hands-on keyboard. Can you share with us, because not the newest role, but the last role you just left, your leadership, and what you were running within the school system, and how much when did you stop being hands-on?
Oh, I stopped being hands-on. So I worked for a charter school network for 13 and a half years. I started out there as an IS support specialist. I moved up to 6 other titles that I had in my entire 13 and a half year career there. So, but when you work for, and we've talked about this before, anybody who's interested, if you work for a not-for-profit, you're going to wear multiple hats. So you can be the help desk person, the desktop person, the project manager, the network administrator, the junior network administrator. You have the possibility of wearing a lot of hats. With that being said, in my final role, I was the senior director of information technology. It's not for profit, so but I stopped intentionally being hands off probably my last 3 years. I would step in when necessary. And when I say step in when necessary, I've got 14,000 Chromebooks being delivered to 18 schools. Hand them off, stack them. Hand them off, stack them. That became the end of me at the charter school network where I worked. Early on, when you're starting out in IT, nobody rises to the top. This is my biggest problem with I call anti-MiC organizations. And when I say anti-MiC, I mean that not in the sense of minorities in cybersecurity. I mean it in the sense of MiC Talent, MiC Aspirers has a program, it has a cohort, and it's a long cohort that will build you up over time to get your skills going, We've got the MiC builders to get your communication and everything else going, right? It's laying down foundation. So I call the anti-MiC organizations those who guarantee you in 6 weeks you'll be making six figures in IT when you don't even know what a VLAN is or what VLAN stand for. You don't even know what asset management is, but hey, I'm guarantee you, I'm gonna get you a job in cybersecurity in 6 weeks. All you got to do is pay me $15,000, and I'm gonna get you in the right program. This year alone, that last 8 weeks, I have spoken with 4 people who have spent a combined close to $42,000 on boot camps and no residual impact, no jobs. So when you're coming into the IT field, now there are unicorns out there. I work with a unicorn right now in my new position. This guy is able to absorb technology, Mary, like nothing I've ever seen before in my life. I don't understand this guy. He's able to pick up, still needs leadership and guidance, but he's just able to pick up on things fast, right? That's a unicorn. That is not, I've only been in cybersecurity field as saying, hey, I want to learn something new since 2021, January. That's when I started hearing about this field in a clubhouse room. In 2024, I'm just taking a new job with part of my title. I am the Unit Information Security Officer. That is 3 years in, and I'm still studying. I'm still learning. I'm still a part of groups and communities to help build me up to understand what I have to do. So it's a slow journey. If you try to fast track into cybersecurity, if you're not the unicorn, if you try to fast track into this industry, you will crash and you will burn and you will get disconnected quickly, because you're going to find that certifications are great. I've been hesitant to put a post up. I typed it up twice on LinkedIn and deleted it both times. I was like, what would Mary Cheney say about this post? No, I'm not going to put it up because I don't want Mary in my inbox like Briscoe. You know, you represent all of us, right? Just to be clear, and I ain't talking about just us. You represent the whole cybersecurity community. But I wanted to put a post up that says we're investing, and I got this from Will I Am. We're investing more in artificial intelligence than we are human intelligence. MiC is investing in human intelligence. We've got a cohort. It's going to start here. We don't babysit anybody. We will build a community. We will put you with a team that will surround you and support you, but we're not begging you for anything. You said this is what you want to do. We're going to empower you and give you every tool that you need. So my post was going to be, I'm tired of hearing about the skills gap. There is not a skills gap. There is an investment gap.
And
Period.
Mary Cheney would say, kudos. I would clap on that one. I would, because
Yes.
it's true. I've made similar comments and statements in regards to, people are, AI is the new thing, right? And so people are making so much investments to try to hack the hard work. So they want, I'm an attorney. I work for a law practice. And, I used to hear these stories about lawyers that are getting ChatGPT to write their briefs for them or put in different, because, when you write stuff, you have different citations, fake citations, because the technology, if you are a technologist at heart, this is just too new to work well. Right. And it's just it's too new. I mean, it's like a baby, right? The baby has to grow and learn and develop before it can actually give you what it needs to give you. But that's that instantaneous gratification. And I want to pull on that a little bit, because commitment, right? As you mentioned, we have the cohort that's starting in September of apprentices. We'll have a cohort starting in March. And you're absolutely right. I don't babysit. I just remove some people today. Because if you want it, you got to put in that effort. But this whole idea, you worked in the school system. Right now, you're at the college level, and we're going to get to that. But this instantaneous gratification thing, I think, is doing us real harm in these professions that you actually need to know stuff.
Yes. It's So for those who are new, like, do not shun away from a help desk job. Like, the opportunity, the gold, and the pathway. And I'm looking forward to meeting with my current CISO so I can talk to her about, look, you're going to need senior level people, but you're not going to be able to afford everything you need. That's when you bring in junior level people. That's when you partner with organizations like Mike Talent that can help you surface that, like, get it. Like, you don't want a bunch of amateurs running around your network. That's clear. But if you got senior level people who can groom those junior SOC analysts who are coming into the field and into the industry, it means for the longevity of your organization. It means for a longer retention period for your staff, so you can understand, they can understand the needs of your organization. This is sometimes a high turnover field. We've had 2 major security breaches this year in the healthcare industry. Lurie Children's Hospital at Northwestern got hit 3 weeks ago. 3 days ago, Change Healthcare got hit. That's a major hit, right? So building up a workforce that's able to deal with that. And this is my push against the industry around what we call skills gap. It's not a skills gap. We're not investing in people. Hackers, advanced threat actors, these people don't care about your degrees. They don't care about your certifications. That means absolutely nothing to them.
Care about your color or your sex.
They don't care about any of that. 2 years ago, London, they arrested, I think, 4 or 5 teenagers who were 14 and 15 years old running a $30 million a year ransomware business. 14 and 15-year-olds. Do you think they know what a CISSP or Security Plus certification is? Absolutely not. They don't care. Threat actors don't care. We have to care. And so we're doing a great job of making, and I'm not saying exams should be easy. Do not get me wrong by any means. But we're doing a great job of ensuring that exams are very hard, because we want these qualified people who just can, if you got that great score, you're good. Look, y'all, I dropped the CISSP twice last year. Improved in some areas, didn't improve in other areas. The job that I have now had the knowledge that I had not gained from even practicing and studying for that exam, combined with what I learned in Mike Lead on when to communicate, when to respond, how when you're doing an interview, stick to exactly what they're asking you. Don't add anything extra to try to fluff yourself up, because they see through fluff. All I can tell you is that the knowledge that I have from the CISSP, studying for it in preparation for it, I had to learn some things. Some things stuck with me, and I was able to speak to those things articulately, not from book knowledge, but from experience knowledge, that I learned how to place what I already knew into a format, into a vocabulary, into a theory that books teach us when we're studying and we're learning. That's after 3 dedicated years of work. I went through the MiC Communicators program. I went to the Minorities in Cybersecurity conference. Everything that I learned, I applied. Matter of fact, I'm doing some Sandy stuff with my new team next week. That's all I'm saying. So, but it's a slow progression. 13 and a half years at a charter school prepared me for what I'm dealing with now on a higher ed level. I left my network as secure as I could. I'm not going to say the most secure school in the world. Yeah. If they're hacking healthcare organizations, like, you're not going to hear me put out any kind of, no, I left them in the most secure position I possibly could. And I left them in good hands. But it took me years to do that. It took almost 6 years to implement multi-factor authentication. It took almost 12 years to convince folks that regular users do not need administrative access to their devices. That was a 12-year journey. That's what I'm saying. It takes a long time to build the right skill set. But what happened is I was able to speak to, well, what's important to you? What data is important? What do we need to secure? So I can go in there as the IT guys I did. We need to lock this down. These users don't need access like that. That conversation had to change to, hey, I think if we have a better understanding of our risk And if we define what data and how it needs to be classified, I think we can understand what we need to protect at that point. I think these would be the good policies we need to put in place in order to do that. Password policy, multi-factor authentication, and let's limit everybody who has administrative access to devices. That way, if they do have something on their system, let's roll out BitLocker to encrypt the hard drives. We'll start a key escrow, and then we can say if this laptop does get lost or this laptop does get stolen because we encrypted the hard drive, we're not really worried about penetration taking place. How does that sound? We're not looking at data loss. How does that sound? I had to learn how to rephrase these things. So I stopped coming from an attitude of no to an attitude, oh man, they're not letting us do anything, to, hey, how can we better service the organization by doing a better job at protecting our assets and protecting data for our young people? Can we have a conversation about that? No, we're not going to do it. Okay, great. Let me paint a picture for you. Your daughter graduates from high school. She's graduating from high school in about 10 years. She graduates from high school, and then you go to get a loan for her to go to college, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, you've already got $60,000 in student loans. At 18 years old, and she's never even signed the check before. Yeah, that data that you didn't want us to protect, that school didn't protect, yeah, that got stolen when she was 5. A social security number, all of that stuff. And so now when she's trying to do something and build her future, she can't because somebody got access to her data. So now we're the school network. We've got 13,000 students. Imagine all of those students is your child. You want their data to be safe. That changes the whole conversation, fam. It changed the whole conversation. Why? Because we're not speaking from this IT lens of, no, we want to restrict. No, we're talking, what's the business risk for you? If the average cost of a cybersecurity attack the first year is $4.32 million, what do you want to pay? You want to pay now, you want to pay later, because you're going to pay either way. $400,000 to implement a security practice at our organization, to implement policies. $400,000, give me that budget over 3 years so we can tango, or you can pay $4.32 million. That's just to start. Because when you got to call in the big guns, when you got to call in Mary Cheney, yeah, she don't charge $200 an hour for legal fees. I'm sorry. That's not Mary Cheney, right? That's the lawyer. That's not the team that you need to come in. That's not the specialist you need to pay to come in. She's just the attorney. So now you've got business records of 19,000 people. Yeah, you've got to pay for Experian for each of them for a credit check for monitoring for 12 months. Your cost is going to add up there. Now let's talk about your cybersecurity insurance, because the ransomware is not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay there. But let's talk about your oh, you didn't meet the requirements. You lied and said you had something in place, but you actually didn't. Oh, we don't have to honor this contract. Matter of fact, we're dropping your insurance. So when you start talking risk, I had to stop talking tech and start talking risk. That's it. That's how it starts. But that starts from a life of me, customer service, understanding how businesses run. I've been in my new job. Today is day 25. I haven't implemented one change. Why not?
And why? Okay, I'm sorry. Why not? I was gonna toss that to you. Why?
Oh, my bad. Because I'm still learning how the university works. I'm still making connections with the right people. I have to understand what's important to the university before I can even have a conversation on how to defend the university. I have to learn how each department and each unit inside of the university works in order for me to understand what to protect and the best path of going to protect it. This is a journey. This is what I'm saying. This is a journey. Asset management alone can take 24 months. I kid you not. Alone. That's just the first phase of the cybersecurity framework, or the CSF. That's the first step. Categorize. That can take a very long time if you come into any environment that there's no pass down, if you don't have previous record keeping, if that previous record keeping is lost. So check this out, Mary. You be proud of your boy. So we got a big conference coming up in March. It's on campus. It's the UIC IT Community Gathering. It's a big conference that they do every year. I submitted a 500-word proposal with a 60-word abstract. So I'm talking to the director of network infrastructure today, and she's like, don't forget this date. I'm like, I'll do you one better. I put a proposal together for it. She was like, really? Oh my goodness, why are you laughing? I said, because it's not about technology. And she's like, well, what is it about? I said, it's about onboarding and offboarding. She goes, what do you mean offboarding and onboarding? I said, I want to talk about giving people who start here a great head start. And then for departments that have transfers coming or people who are leaving the organization altogether, how we can make that that experience also great for those who are coming into the role, and also to make sure that every department is empowered that when that person leaves, the knowledge transfer is great. So if this person is responsible for all of the assets that are within their department, that all that information gets passed down. I want to make sure that they know how we can implement, hey, let's stop putting things in individual OneDrive folders. Let's do all this the right way. Everybody has a team share for their department. So she was just like, man, who are you? And I was just like, hey, I'm just here. I'm here to make, I'm not start. I don't, we're not talking about, oh, let's encrypt everybody's hard drive. Let's restrict access. Let's make sure that we got a key. Nobody cares about that stuff. People care about how you relate to them. When they care how you relate to them, when they see your customer service is just as great as the customer experience you want them to have, then we can start talking about, now let's see how to build up the infrastructure around you the way that it needs to be in a secure manner in order to protect your assets. Once people understand you care and you learn to communicate that in a way, man, the game is over.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful, beautifully said. And so what you're talking about and what you continue to stress on are the corporate survival skills, what other people call soft skills. You know, I have my own terminology for it.
I like yours.
Um, yeah, it's corporate survival skills. It's survival skills. You have to be able to understand. Even with my work with the privacy workforce working group, when we're talking about the privacy framework and how to implement it, a lot of it is you're going to be, because cybersecurity is not a usually not the place to execute on anything. It's theory, it's strategy, it's trying to get IT or trying to get, marketing. That's always been my issue, to do what they're supposed to do, right? But it's not, you can't force them because you're not a revenue generator. You're a cost center. What that means, let me, okay, for the aspirers out there, learn this language. Okay. Revenue generator is activity that is performed by an organization that brings revenue into the business. So for AWS, for instance, or for Google, or let's do even Apple, what generates the money is the sales, right? Marketing is attached to sales. You market it right. You market the new iPhone, right? You sell that. That's money coming into the organization. Cybersecurity, legal, HR, finance. These are all things that support the organization. So what they are cost centers. They cost us money to run these. They cost the company money to have a cybersecurity team. And if you reading the news, you see that corporations are restricting their cybersecurity technology bucket, right? So the phrase is, yeah, we're spending all of this money on AI. We're spending all of this money on, a network defense, on, in endpoint detection tools, blah, 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 blah. But the hackers are still getting in. So why are we spending money with you, service provider of this particular security tool, if it's not working to begin with? So that costs money, right? That's a cost center. So you have to understand, when you are in that position and then you're butted against IT or technology, they are a revenue generator, because especially for organizations that rely on technology to sell their services. So you have the security person saying, we need to encrypt this, do this, and you have, your app developer saying that's not going to work. Who's going to win? Usually the IT app development team. So you, as a person coming in, you think you go, and I love the youth. I love new professionals coming into the space because they think their thought is the best thought ever, and they don't understand that a grasshopper go sit out in the corner somewhere and find these tickets.
If I could have got that 20 years ago, I would have had less stress on my heart. I teach cost center analysis now with a group here for those who take on help desk roles. It costs the company to pay for you. It costs them. We are not money generators in some regard. When you're not money generators, you don't really have a lot to say. This is what I learned at the conference last year. I forget the guy who was there for GRC. I was talking to him. He said, Tony, I'm gonna give it to you straight. If your company has a vulnerability that may cost them $2 million, but they gonna make $60 million. Do you think you telling them that 2 million? And it changed. Again, y'all, I'm still learning. I just got this last year at the conference because I'm up there like, man, they not listening. They not this. He was like, Tony, let me just give you an example of how governance, risk, and compliance work. If your company is making $60 million and you tell them that their little $2 million vulnerability, they're gonna be like, what, 2 million? Dude, we just made 60. You think I care about that? And so
I can absorb that.
he let me know, like, hey, this is risk acceptance. We understand that we gonna rake in 58 million at the end of the day, so we don't really care about that. And this is when you have to be able to. This is when emotional intelligence comes in. It is your job. It is our responsibility to expose what exists as a vulnerability or a threat in the organization and report that up and follow leaderships and what they say do. That's it. I had to stop wearing that all here. If you get anything while you're still young, do not care. Don't let that stress come on your heart. There's responsibility and there's accountability. It's our responsibility to keep the organization safe. If we report that, it is leadership's. They're accountable for whatever they choose to accept, transfer, or avoid. That's on senior leadership. I had to learn to get in my place and stay in my place. And then when things start happening, hey, I got documentation that says I remember I was at the previous a previous employer. I'm not gonna say which one. They asked about why didn't something get done. They knew not to ask me that question. They asked somebody on my team that question. But because I know how I train my people, they forwarded this person that 2 emails, 3 consecutive years, 2 emails went out. He forwarded from year 2019, year 2020, and year 2022 of this person saying, stand down. There were no more questions to my team. I had to teach my team to move as one voice. There can be no dissension found amongst us. Anything we don't agree on, either we come together and decide not to agree on it, but we want to speak one language that causes no confusion. Then I found out they went to somebody else. But guess what? They got the exact same answer with the exact same responses. Why? Because we were responsible with what we reported. They were accountable for the actions that we were not allowed to take.
And that's what you make a great point, because that's what some organizations, or I'm sorry, some professionals don't understand is cybersecurity is a risk management function, right? Again, you're responsible for reporting, for doing your job on the cybersecurity framework. You're responsible for doing all of those things in your job. But you, as the individual information security professional, cannot make the business decision on whether or not what you're reporting to is something that they actually care about. I remember going way back to one of my first roles, and the best thing that you could get is clarity, right? The CEO came out and said, if it's less than $1 million, I could care less. We can absorb it. So if I have a little vulnerability that's 40,000, it may cost us 40,000. The CEO didn't even want to hear about it if it didn't
Father,
meet that level. Don't even send the email. So
yeah.
it's like it's stand in line, fall in line, do what's all you have to do is document what you okay. Yes, to answer the question in the chat, it can expose the company to more, but that's not your job to figure that out.
Pause them right
That
there.
it's not okay, go ahead.
This is what y'all have to get. And I'm telling you, my problem is I care a lot. Like Mary knows, I lead with heart. Like I'm big on heart. That's why I get excited and passionate talking about these things. But I'm still learning, y'all, because you have to always remind yourself, right? I have more conversations with Mary Cheney without even calling her because I already know I know the look she gonna give me. I already know what she gonna say. I don't even call her. I don't need to call her. I know she's right there. There are times when I hear Renee's voice. I hear who did the communications training. I can't think of her name. She kicked us off. Um,
Monica.
Monica. I hear Monica's voice. I hear Tia Hopkins. I hear all these people in my head all day. I hear them in my head all day. I care a lot. I make organizations like once I feel like I'm family when you hire me. It's hard for me to just separate that part of myself. But for the young people and millennials they got this down pat. And millennials don't get that attached at all. They're like, oh, you want me to do that? Okay, later. I'm taking a new job. Bye, y'all. Right. But I want you to save yourself some anguish. Only carry what you need to carry. And trust me, in the role that you're going to get as a SOC analyst, you're going to have a lot to carry. If you thought it was all about the keyboard, baby, you can forget it. You're going to be reading your behind off. You're going to spend your entire 8.5 hours a day. If you're doing Splunk, you're going to be reading logs all day. Period. Now, they got some automated tools that can help you, pinpoint things. But for the most part, you're going to be reading a lot. You thought that certification was struggling? Wait till you start the job and you just got to research. You're going to be on databreaches.net. You're going to be on the matrix frame on the MITRE framework. You're going to have to learn. Have you seen the MITRE framework? That's enough to keep you busy for the rest of your life. Have you seen that thing broken down? Are you kidding me? Any role in I have been doing more policy reading than I ever have in my life the first 25 days on the job. Okay, we don't have a policy here. Make a note. No, we're not writing it right now. Just start a little spreadsheet where we just gonna put down policies we need. We're not writing anything right now, right? I have spent more time reading, and this is the importance of understanding who you work for. You're not going to be able to come in and make immediate change. Now, you may be aware of some things that may need to change, and you can feel free to share those things. But you want to pace yourself. You want to get to know the organization and get to know the people that you are working for before you start doing anything and making any changes. And that comes in time with leadership and development and growth. Universities don't move that fast. And so I was itching the first like 4 weeks. I'm like, man, this is, but now I'm like, wait a minute. Let me go back and break out my 90 days because I got caught in the weeds last week, man. Hey, I got caught in the weeds. And the book was like, okay, Tone, if you starting to do this, thank you, 90 days. Thank you, my communicators program. I got caught in the weeds. Let me dial it back. Right? I've been reading for 25 straight days. I've been learning for 25 straight days. I got to learn the layout I'm on a campus. I got to learn the layout of the infrastructure. Just not even the infrastructure. I got to learn the layout of the buildings. Right? I'm looking at.
You got to find out where you go. You got to find out where you're supposed to go.
This is what I'm saying. So it's so much, and this is at a university. Like, if you go in-house, even if you go in-house to an organization, you need to have a certain understanding of things, right? I'm a diagrams guy. Today I asked for I just need some maps. Just give me some topologies and I'm good. Like, okay, we work on that stuff for you. I was like, no, we ain't. We'll get back with you when we get back with you, bro. What is he talking about? But it's the opportunity for me in this place in my life to really learn what strategic thinking and strategic planning is. Like, this is the exciting part for me at this phase in my life. Do I want to be a CISO? Hey, I'm not going to turn any opportunity down that come. Right now, I say no, but I'm not going. But it's like that's not my goal. It was early on in cybersecurity. I was just like some of y'all. I'm gonna be a CISO one day. I'm gonna go up in here, put my make. No, I lost all that when I started seeing the life expectancy. Not the life expectancy. I'm sorry, the job expect the job. What do they call it, Mary? The job retention.
Yeah, it's the job expectancy. How long does a CISO stay in a
Yeah.
particular role?
And so when I
18
started
months.
in 2021, looking into cybersecurity, y'all, the CISOs, I think it was at like 30, it was like 34 months. Within 2 years, that jumped down to 2.5 years. Now, this year, it's almost 24 months. You almost see this position being intentionally phased out of organizations, and now they're VCSOing. They're doing virtual CISOs.
Well, Tony, I'm gonna pause you right there because
Go
that's
ahead.
risk there as well.
Yeah,
Because okay,
absolutely.
so again, and then we have Joe Sullivan coming to the conference that's going to talk about it. And if you guys don't know Joe Sullivan, he's the first CISO that was actually convicted for a failure to disclose a breach, right? And so he's going to be
Oh,
coming
Sullivan
to
coming?
yes, yes,
Y'all
yes.
better be in Dallas. That's all I'm saying.
He's, he's our closing keynote, right? But all that to be said is understanding now that the getting to that CISO level actually, as a fiduciary could expose you to jail time if you fail to disclose the things that's going on in your organization. And so that risk is also there. So the CISO spot, even though oftentimes it's not really, because rarely, if ever, does the CISO actually report directly to the CEO. There's usually a CIO, a CTO, maybe legal, maybe a compliance officer that the CISO reports to. But then you're blaming the CISO for the things that's going wrong. So that's a hot spot.
It's a hot spot to be in because now you literally have to have your own legal representation. And so that's why when you get an opportunity to be a CISO one day, you get to, I call Mary. I'm like, hey, I need you to draft me a contract. I'm gonna let them know, like, y'all gotta pay my attorney fee for this contract. I'm gonna have drafted up. All that should be written into a clause somewhere. I'm not going to jail for anybody. And so, Tiana, I'm not saying don't be an overachiever. Be an overachiever in learning. Execution will come with that in time. Be an overachiever when it comes to you actually mastering what you know and understanding what you know. I am still building a foundational knowledge. I never thought I'd be in a position where I have to actually follow a framework. This is again, I've been in IT for over 25 years, y'all. This is the first position that I'm in where I have to settle down and lock in on a framework, right? Be it COVID controls, be it the risk management framework, the cybersecurity framework, any other ISO 27001, like all these things that I've been reading about. Now it's like, oh no, it's time. Now I have to get intimate with these things, and it takes
And
time.
you're in education too, so you have a little other that is another little statute there that you must comply with.
Absolutely,
FERPA, right? Yeah.
absolutely, FERPA,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, FERPA don't play. FERPA will get you in jail too. And we're not trying to just, not discourage anybody. But what it is to say is now organizations have to really hire great talent. And that talent is in people who are ready to listen and also ready to bring change by building relationships, not implementing. When you build the right relationships, implementation comes easy. I had an old boss, and she was a old Italian lady. She cussed like a sailor, and we used to go at it all the time. Yeah, y'all. I was a rebel, power to the people. And one day she wanted me to build. I had a project that I was going to build a WSIS server. So that's a Windows update server for you all who don't know. So everything central comes in and then it pushes out from this Windows update server. She was like, hey, I want you to build this server and I want you to do it this way. And I was like, but you, I said, this is going to take me 3 hours to do it this way. And she said, Tony, you're a really smart guy, but I'm trying to teach you how to listen and follow instruction. She knew I could have got that thing done in an hour. She wanted me to do it a certain way because she wanted to teach me to listen and learn and follow instructions. And I had to sit back, swallow my pride and my ego, and do it the way that she wanted it done. Now, unfortunately, after I did this, we found out in the newspaper the company was being sold. But so everything got put to a halt. But this is not the place for apprenticeship. Oh, that's Mary. Okay. Yeah. Hold off on that. And so, and part of this, what it's saying is, as you grow into IT spaces, technology spaces, information security spaces, you have to just make sure that you are ready to learn and listen and you have to be coachable at all times. I had to sit down with my boss yesterday on some things. And he was like, yo, part of this, I want you to take it completely off your plate, 100%. Now, I told y'all know I'm passionate about stuff. I'm learning how to have a poker face now, Mary. I know, I didn't have that during the MiC. I didn't have that during the MiC lead training. I didn't have that. I'm learning how to have a poker face now because I can feel something, but I don't have to let you know what I'm feeling. I have to always position myself to receive instructions from those who are above me. It's not about whether I agree with them or whether I like them. I start learning, stop taking things personal. This is business, Tony. This is all business. Ain't nobody gonna follow you home and say why you do this and why. Nobody cares that much. So I have to learn not to care that much. And it's hard for me because, again, I lead with heart. I love people. I know this is not time for Mary said we ain't talking about, apprenticeship questions, but I'm going to tell you now, the dedication that I have spent every Thursday and Saturday, the last month and a half, interviewing people for MiC, for the MiC Talent Rap program, right? When you don't show up, I get pissed off. I'm just going to call that 100 because I'm taking time out of my schedule. I'm an empty nester now. Me and the wife could be kicking it hard. You know what I'm saying? But I make time to give back to that which has invested in me. So when you get to work and you in IT, if you have on your mind you want to work an 8-hour day, you're in the wrong field and you're in the wrong business. Now, when you get older, that's a little bit different. I'm like, no, hey, we don't do that anymore. But I'm just talking about once you start off, like I'm not saying work 60, 70 hours a week, but believe me, we've had Lurie Hospital had a breach. When you get a breach, hey, that salary you've been making and you've been only working 37 and a half hours a week. Yeah, when you get a breach, baby, that's going to change. You may not. The longest I stayed up at my previous job, I stayed up almost 72 hours. We had a squirrel that decided to eat through our fiber line. And I just had to stay there to do vendor management. And AT&T, they show up when they feel like it. Period. What I'm saying
is, they just have an outage though? Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, squirrel probably ate through the fiber line or something. But all I'm saying is, like, I've had to work with people. Hey, I didn't, I want to work my regular day. Cool. You get regular promotion. You get regular pay. But the people on my team who, when I called them, because I take care of my team, I'm a firm believer in organizational health. And what I mean by that is if I take care of my team will take care of the organization automatically. I'm not bothering you about you going to come in 2 hours late because you had to stop and do something with your daughter that morning. Something came up last. Hey, family first. Now we can work on the communication process and how things get handed off. You take care. If I take care of you as my team, you'll take care of the organization automatically because you know that I care. You have to come in with that kind of mindset into this field that I'm going to do the best job I can with the time that I'm allotted. But if the network team is doing something and I'm on a help desk and I want to learn, I'm going to ask them, hey, are you guys got any upgrades happening? Can I stick around with the team tonight? Oh, you want to stick around with us? Yeah, sure, no problem. When they notice that you're on that help desk, like, why is it that these 4 other people keep sending us stuff and we got to ask them 4 or 5 questions, but this one person that's on that help desk, every time they send us something, they've given us details on the help desk of what the problem is, when it started, why it started, and the last thing the user did. Yeah, I don't know, but let's get that person on our team. This is when you begin to separate yourself, because when you're a part of the cost center and you cost the organization, you have to be extra effective in what you're doing. So that means now, if I've got to bring somebody, man, what we going to pay him? No. We're not going to do that. I got somebody on the help desk right now. Let that help desk manager find somebody else to replace their team member. We want this person on our team because this is the level of work that they were doing. So 2 things going to happen. Either you're going to say, nope, I'm not ready to move, and your current boss going to be like, well, look, I'm going to give you some more money because I don't want to lose you. Or you're going to say, wait, the network team want me to work for them? Yeah, you've been volunteering once a quarter when we do upgrades. You come and check us out, see how we doing. That's the person that they're going to go after. They want you. You're making yourself. I'm a cost center. So if it's going to cost you, I'm going to make sure you're going to pay me that cost. And that cost is I'm going to give you the best possible service on this help desk that I can. Every client who calls in, they're going to get great customer service from me because my end game is not the help desk. My end game is going to be on the SOC team. And after that, my end game is to run the SOC team. And after that, my end game is to be on the purple team. And after that, my end game is to be the CIO. And after that, my end game is to be the CEO. Whatever the journey is. But I started small, y'all. If I'm behind the 8 ball, it's only one reason. I did not have a MiC talent and a MiC lead program when I started my IT journey. But since it's here now, since I started it when I was 50, I don't really care about what I didn't have back then. I know what I have now. So I don't just have 2 years experience. I got every experience that Mary Cheney has. I got every experience that Miss Renee Fournay has. I got every experience of everybody she puts me in contact with working on my behalf. And all I got to do is show up.
Now you're preaching.
All I got to do is show up.
Well, thank you, my dear. We are actually 1 minute away. We can't take any questions.
Man, come on.
I mean, what you want? One question? One question?
Yeah, somebody throw a question out there real quick. Throw a question out there.
Let me check and see if there's anything out there on the YouTube channel real quick.
Oh, Sarah, Sarah, I'm 52, but thank you for saying I'm 35. I appreciate it. I look 35. I appreciate that. This has been great. I appreciate this. You folks, if y'all want to tap in with me, you can feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can, Anthony Briscoe is the name. You'll be able to track me down, but I am pouring back into this community. I didn't think I was going to make the conference this year, but when I was taking the new job, yeah, I worked that Mary Magic. She was like, well, you can always negotiate something. You ain't just got to say you're not coming. I was like, yeah, if I don't show up this year, I'm going to have some problems with her, and nobody wants problems with Mary Cheney. That's all I'm saying. Mary's a sweetheart, though, y'all. Mary's a sweetheart. She's a sweetheart. She's passionate about what she believes in. So, again, I know it's not time to talk about MiC talent, but if you're applying and she got a team of people, it's almost 20 of us who are interviewing folks, and teach the people coming after you and show up. You got to interview. You better show up dressed up, clean, and show up for an interview. Don't come in all haphazard. Mm-hmm. Don't come in looking any kind of way. Don't come in asking questions. If you want to be in this program, I told people, I'm not answering that question. That's a question I have for you to answer. I'm not answering any question.
And don't come in talking about how much I'm going to get paid. That's the one way. Never. If we leave you with nothing else, it doesn't matter if it's MiC talent, doesn't matter what job you go in to get. Never talk about, well, how much y'all going to pay me? That's not a first conversation. That is a one-way ticket to get you excluded from the next round of interviews.
Somebody did ask,
Professionals,
how,
huh?
how do you recommend a virtual volunteer position? I want to transition. I really want to get hands-on experience. Yeah, that's a loaded one. Hit me on LinkedIn. I got you. Hit me on
Okay.
LinkedIn. Hey, y'all, I appreciate the time. My name is Tony Briscoe. If y'all want to know what else I do, I got 2 albums on iTunes, My Journey and My Ode to Hip Hop. Look up the artist name, The Endurer. So you'll see your boy. I do hip hop. I'm a spoken word artist, and I love people, and I can't wait until the end of March gets here because I'm ready to go to. You taking
Well,
me to dinner
thank
on
you
Sunday?
guys so
You
much.
taking your board to dinner? I want to go to dinner on that Sunday. That's all I'm saying.
You know my birthday that Monday.
Hey.
And there's a dinner planned on the 25th,
So she
but
said that
it's
to
not
say,
a
no,
dinner.
you taking me to dinner, bro. That's what's gonna happen. She just said I'm
That's
paying.
right.
That's
That
all
part.
she just said. She just said
That's
I'm
right. That
paying.
part.
Thank you,
He got.
family. I
Hey,
appreciate
I
y'all.
negotiated. I helped you negotiate your new role and everything. You owe me a drink or something, and I don't want no damn Moscato. Okay, I'm sorry.
You're not.
That's
You're gonna
family
get
stuff. That's family stuff.
oh yeah, yeah, you can. I don't do Moscato, y'all. Lemon Moscato is my specialty.
Love you both. Love
Peace,
y'all. Thanks
fam.
for joining us. Bye
All
bye.
right.